You actually were a bit of a rebel. Martin Byrom, a rebel. I said, don't do repping, thank you.
Well, I was always told that the boss always used to say to me, you're a good worker, but you're a bit bolshy. You would hear the charts would have things like Jimi Hendrix followed by Val Doonican.
Yeah.
And nobody batted an eyelid. It was just popular music. Coincided with a phone call. He phoned me up and said, "You're the ideal person for the job." I said, "Well, how come I haven't got it yet?"
Welcome to Tommyfield Live, a chance to meet. Let's join the audience now, live from our radio theatre stage. Oh, thank you very much indeed. Good afternoon, everybody. Lunchtime on a Saturday. It seems very strange. We haven't done this for a little while, but if you've only just discovered Tommyfield Live, then it's our Saturday programme where we have, a variety of things going on. We have occasionally musicians on stage, but more often than not, it's an opportunity, a chance to meet, as you might say, a very special guest. My name's Ian Wolstenholme, and it's my pleasure to be here with you for the next 57 minutes or thereabouts, in the company of somebody who didn't expect to be doing this today. But please welcome Martin Byrom, Oldham Community Radio's very own Martin. Good afternoon, Martin.
Good afternoon.
Thank you for stepping up to the plate like the man that you are, in the absence of the... I can't say that. Who is Matt Dean. Matt, we've been announcing all week as one half of the legendary podcast show with Matt and Mo.
Yeah.
Yes, you know the words, don't you?
Yeah.
Sadly, Matt's not feeling very well today, so he's begged for forgiveness, and I'm sure we'll catch up with him again in the not too distant future. Matt, if you're listening, get well soon. We hope you're feeling a little bit better. It must be serious when he has to cancel a gig. Because he's in a band, you know, Martin.
All right, I didn't know.
Yes, he's in a band.
Right.
So they had to cancel the gig. So I knew it was genuine, not just cold feet, as you might say. So thank you for being here, Martin. It's really good.
Right.
We say Oldham's own Mr. Community Radio presenter, one half of the legendary Friday Filter team, which we'll talk about later.
Right.
But I thought you should be treated no different to anybody else. Because we always ask our guests, tell us a little bit about yourself. Let's go right back. What's the earliest memory that a very diddy Martin Byrom can remember?
Very diddy Martin Byrom. First memory, I suppose, is seeing my grandparents peering into my pram when I must have been about 2 years old. I think
it frightened the bejeebers out of you, didn't it?
That's about the earliest memory I can think of.
You see, I think we've asked this question because Martin and I do have some car journeys from time to time. Martin is an avid walker, aren't you?
I have, yeah. Walked here today, yeah.
You walked here today? Yeah. From all the way from...
Greenfield.
Greenfield?
Yeah, about 4.5 miles, is it? Something like that.
I mean, how much walking do you do in a week?
Yeah, quite a bit. There aren't many days when I'm not out at some stage. Yeah.
Is that just because you're a very green person, or you haven't got a car, or your bicycle tyres are flat?
I don't know. It's just something I've always liked walking. That's all there is to it.
It keeps you fit and well, I suppose, doesn't it?
Yeah, I hope so.
Well, thank you for striding here today to Tommyfield Live. So the grandparents peering down in the pram. As I was saying, we have these little chats going home because I run you home occasionally during the week, but I can't remember anything as early as that.
Yeah, you said that too.
We were talking about that. So, I mean, it's surprising what the human brain is able to recount.
Yeah, it's about the only thing I do remember from way back. Yeah.
So anyway, after that, when you finally suddenly started to sprout hair, which I suppose is more than can be said for me these days, school days, let's talk about kind of...
Right.
I'm not going to say Tom Brown school days, but Martin Byrom's. What? And again, we'll probably have some affinity here.
Yes, we do, because I went to Freehold Junior infants and junior school.
I know it well.
In Werneth.
Because we both
Because
did,
we both
didn't
went to the same school, yeah.
And we only found that out by chance through one of these little chats in the car, didn't we?
Right,
Yeah. It was a bit of one of those. It was colditz, wasn't it? Really. Let's be honest. I mean, you must have had a different description. I don't know, because you were a bit of a swat, from what I remember.
Well, I didn't know you did remember. No, I wasn't a swat at all. No. It was cold. I remember that in the winter. The radiators never worked, did they? Properly? Did they ever work? Yeah, that and school dinners.
Do you remember the milk? Everybody seems to.
Yeah.
It was that kind of black and white monochrome photographic era, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Where school kids in short trousers, particularly of that age, always had bottles of milk with a straw in.
Yeah, the milk monitors, didn't they?
Milk monitors. Were you a milk monitor?
I wasn't, no. Were you?
Yeah.
All right. No, I see. You're the swat, you see. I never got promoted to that position of trust.
I got this in the height of summer when the milk was solid in the bottle. It was vile. It was cheese. It was basically cheese in glass. Let's be honest.
Like the school custard.
Oh.
That is either water, right? It came out in the shape of a ladle, isn't it?
It's just, I mean, everybody has these memories of those sort of school days. And apologies if you are just having your lunch. But what do you remember about some of the teachers at Freehold?
Well, we both remember Mr. Curran.
He looked like an action man, didn't he?
Didn't he? He always used to have, I seem to have a tracksuit on, I seem to remember.
He had a crew cut.
Yeah.
He just looked like...
And a tash,
And a tash.
Very short tash.
They were hard taskmasters, some of these.
And headmaster, Pop Howarth.
Mr. Howarth.
Mr. Howarth.
I remember, I'm sure you do too, having to take a letter home. Or we may not have even had to take the letter home. It might have been posted from the Oldham Education Committee, back as it was in those days, to say that Freehold School was going to deal with this thorny subject of education in school, which now, I mean, it just shows the kind of era we're talking about, the early 60s. It was just something very not talked about, wasn't it? Now, for goodness sake, it is what it is.
I remember my very first teacher, Mrs. Cooper. That was in the infant school.
Mrs. Cooper, no,
Mrs. Cooper. She used to have a piano in the corner. And every day I used to finish with having a song on that piano. They'd have this sing along.
Really?
Yeah, it did. Yeah,
well, she sounds a pleasant lady.
Yeah, she was. Yeah.
There are some, as you say, there's certain teachers that sort of stand out. I do remember Mr. Curran, though, as you say, because I remember having to go down on a Saturday morning about this time to Chapel Road playing fields.
Oh yeah, Chapel Road, the all-weather pitch.
To play football. Pitch. Come on, like me and football. Can you? Were you kind of sporty back in those early days, Martin?
Enthusiastic, shall we say? I wasn't particularly good at anything, and I was quite fast running.
Yeah.
That's about the only thing I could say. But I had no skill at football. I was enthusiastic. I remember playing rugby on the all-weather pitch as well. I think that was one of Mr. Curran's ideas. We actually played rugby on the all-weather pitch. So I won't tell you the injuries that were sustained.
I can well imagine. So we always ask our guests to come along armed with 6 choices of music, and we try to fit them in the hour. We usually do, and I'm keeping an eye on the clock to make sure we do, because I kind of knew that when we'd ask Martin to pick some tunes, they wouldn't be the ones that would immediately trip off the tongue. And indeed, you'll be pleased to know I don't know any of your 6, Martin. So,
right, okay.
So pity the poor listener on this, but I'm sure there'll be reasons behind them. Your first one then, Answers on a Postcard by Pugwash.
Yes.
I always thought it was diddly 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 Captain Pugwash.
Yeah, I think that's where they took the name from. They're an Irish band, or they were an Irish band, led by a chap called Thomas Walsh, who's still recording. His music harks back to things that I was brought up on: Beatles, Beach Boys, and latterly ELO. This particular track, I just think, when I first heard it, I thought, oh, Jeff Lynne's made a new record.
Yeah.
And that's where it comes from. It's just that love of 60s music. That's where it comes from.
Fantastic. Let's have a listen then. Answers on a Postcard. Here's Pugwash. Fancy that. That was brilliant. It just shows you, doesn't it, that, you know, the fact that you look at something and you think that it's going to be completely different to how it actually was. Really, like, I can understand what you were saying there, Martin. That's brilliant. Thank you. Answers on a postcard from Pugwash. I've still got a bit of freehold junior school's concrete stone chipping in my knee.
You said that.
Did you know that?
Yes, I did.
Have I bored you with that
tell
story?
Me that, yeah.
Do you have any memories or memorabilia?
I might have some Chapel Road or weather pitch sticking with
it. May well. Yeah. It's not giving me any jip at the moment, so that's good. But it's funny, isn't it? Yeah, brilliant. So after freehold, so we did kind of meet or see each other there. We probably didn't realise that all these years later we'd be bumping into each other on the radio theatre stage on a Saturday lunchtime.
That's true.
Where did you go to after
Caskenmore School.
Yeah, you see, now we did part our separate ways.
Yeah. So Roman Road in Hollingwood, isn't it? Yeah.
Caskenmore.
Yeah.
Strangely enough, a lot of my friends from Freehold, because I left Freehold the year before what would have been the end of my primary school years to move to Shaw.
Right.
So I finished off my last year. This isn't about me, but I'm just putting this into context. I finished my last year at junior school in a new junior school over in Shaw. But I do know a lot of my friends from Freehold went to Caskenmore. It seemed to be one of the popular feeder schools.
It was either that or Grange, I think. Those were the most popular ones, I think. What was
it like at Caskenmore?
Well, it was a relatively new school, wasn't it? I think it's. I think my brother, is a year older than me. I think it was the first year it had opened when he went, so it can't have been open long. What was it like? What were school days like? Not the best days of my life, but not the worst.
How would you describe yourself as a student?
As a student, probably quite hardworking. In some subjects, I was always the usual. Could do better. I was never late.
That's interesting, actually. I've still got my school report books, which are just a bit that I really do need to clear out some old stuff. But you look back in those days of when people used to write in school reports, they don't do it, it's all done on computer now. But it's a number of times late, and it was 0 out of so many. It was. You just did in those days, didn't you? And absent, number of times absent.
And quite often I used to walk there. That's surprising, isn't it? So I walked from Worth down to Hollywood.
You have done this for a while, haven't you?
Walked it back sometimes.
In all weathers.
In all weathers, yeah.
It's incredible. So school came and went.
Yep.
You left presumably with some qualifications of one form or another. Did you go on to anything else after that, or did you go into the world of work?
I went looking for a job, and I think it was 1976 when I left school. The first job I ever had was a temporary job at the Falcon Depot in what's it called, Victoria Street, Chadderton.
Falcon, the Falcon.
It's still there.
Yeah,
it's still there.
Still there, isn't it?
Yeah. Working for Littlewoods.
Yeah.
Packing Christmas hampers. Temporary job from about September, was it, through to December?
Yeah.
With a chance of being taken on, but I wasn't. The next job I had after that, I worked in the only place that, I think it's the only place that's still going. A place called Forester Wood, which is on Heron Street.
Right.
And they still do, fruit essences. So it was like chocolate sauce, strawberry sauce that went on top of ice cream and things like that.
The things that we can't do without. Who wants a boring bowl of ice cream when you can get some Forester fruit on the top?
When you're first there, you're thinking, oh, it smells really nice in here. Or you sometimes taste the goods, you know. You soon get fed up of it, you think, oh, and it's put me off. It has put me off.
Really?
Sauces on top of ice cream for life. Yeah.
Just the smell of the place. It's a bit.
Well, it's not just that. I better not go into it because I might incriminate myself.
Okay. Well, no, don't. Well, we get the drift, Martin.
We get the drift.
We get the drift.
From there to I worked in Ram Mill at a place called Better Quilt, which explained itself. They made quilts, made sleeping bags. I was on the end of a conveyor belt. Stapling bags up and loading lorries up, and then from there I went working at Giles Shaw.
Which I know you stayed at for a
long time.
A good year.
I was there for 21 years from 1980.
We'll talk about that in a minute. We've got a second track from you now.
Okay.
This is not, I hope it's not a hoax, but it is the hoax.
No.
The hoax.
Yeah.
Let It Shine.
Let It Shine.
Now there's a story.
The Hawks. It's when I started getting into blues music, which was in the mid-90s. I'd lost interest in what was in the charts at the time, and it's a long story really, but I better not go into it because it takes too long. So I started getting into blues music, started going to the Corn Blues Festival, and this is one of the first bands I saw, and they were one of the bands that I thought, a lot of people thought, would break into the mainstream. There were 5 lads from Wiltshire, teenagers then, and they just had a swagger that you thought, yes, these. I mean, because at that time it was all Blur, Oasis, and these fellas just knocked the spots off them. I just thought, crikey, these lads get them into the charts. I think their downfall was actually advertising that they were a blues band. If they'd have just come on and just said, this is what it is, they'd have been fine. And this track is a rocker. It just.
Let's have a listen to it.
Yeah.
And welcome back to Tommyfield Live here on the Saturday lunchtime. Oldham Community Radio 99.7 FM, online, on the internet, on DAB. DAB, hey, we're gone all high-tech now, aren't we? And you can even ask your smart speaker to play Oldham Community Radio. It's all very clever. It's all happening in the background. My guest today on the radio theatre stage is Martin Byrom, Oldham Community Radio's very own Martin Byrom, no less, who's manfully stepped in the absence of Matt Dean, who, as we said, is not able to make it today, but maybe another day. But Martin, you've told us about school days, you've told us about getting into the world of work, and we just left there when you joined that well-known name in Oldham. There were certain names, weren't there, that are synonymous with the town. Giles Shaw. Yeah. For the benefit of people who think, I've heard that, what did he do? I've forgotten.
I think they started off as a plumber's wholesale business, and then they went into engineers' cutting tools, which is when I joined them. And the only reason why I got the job is because my uncle worked there. I had no real interest in engineering. It's not what you know, who you know, I suppose. Yes, 21 years, a long time. Most of it I quite enjoyed. It was quite well paid. I suppose I was like a glorified warehouse man, although I didn't know it at the time. I wasn't never told I was being groomed to be a rep, which is something I never wanted to be. Which I think was probably my downfall, because I don't think they ever really bothered with me after that, to that extent.
You just said, no, don't want that.
I just literally was in the office one time and it was just said, rep, you'll be doing that next year. I said, I don't want to do it. But I wasn't informed that, so I don't feel those were the words they wanted to hear.
But it's interesting because you probably wouldn't do that these days in the world of work. I know times are different, but if the boss says jump, sometimes you say, well, how high? But you actually were a bit of a rebel. Martin Byrom, a rebel. I said, don't do repping, thank you.
Well, I was always told that the boss always used to say to me, you're a good worker, but you're a bit bolshy. That's what he used to say to me.
Really?
Yeah, he did.
How big a workforce was that?
Not big, maybe about 15 people in there.
Right.
Probably about 8 of us. It expanded after a while till, I don't know, maybe about 20 odd people, maybe eventually, by the time it actually went to the wall. So, most of it was happy years. The last 4 years, not so. Not somewhere I would like to be again, let's put it that way.
No. Well, these things do happen. What did you do after that?
I tried to get into, because I've always liked books.
Yes.
I tried to get into the library service. And again, that's a strange story. I was I went for a job interview, I think on 2-3 occasions, to be a library assistant. I got down to the last 6 applicants. After the first one, I do remember, it's the only job interview I went to that I actually felt confident, because it's something I knew something about.
Yeah.
And I thought it had gone really well. I actually thought the interview had gone really well. And then, of course, you get the envelope saying, sorry, you haven't got the job. But coincided with a phone call from Francis Stott, who was the head librarian.
Indeed, a very, very
who actually phoned me up and said, you're the ideal person for the job. I said, well, I haven't got it yet. So he said, we want you to apply again. So I applied again on 2 separate occasions. Still didn't get it, and I thought, what a farce this is.
Yeah.
I thought, well, maybe it's not really what I should be doing. So from there, I actually worked for about, maybe not a year, in Marsden, a tourist information and council services. Mainly because my walking connections.
You didn't walk to Marsden?
No, I didn't walk to Marsden.
I'm going to say,
I must admit, I didn't walk to Marsden.
That's supposed too far.
Yeah, I did get the car to go to Marsden. Yeah, but I know the area quite well, and you would have people coming in, and I would give directions to get to certain beauty spots, all the rest of it. And it's the council services, like doing passports for buses and walk-in sessions when Age UK were there and things like that. Yeah, so that was quite interesting, but it didn't last long. Then after that, I thought, well, what am I going to do? But my wife said to me, how about going into partnership in the bookshop? There you say, you come into it now.
There. We're going to pause for breath, because this then is the start of, you'll pardon the pun, a whole new chapter.
Yes, it is.
Isn't it? Because, well, we'll talk about that in a second. We're halfway through your choice of music, Martin.
Yeah.
Buick 6 is the band or the group or the artists, and this is Circles.
Yeah, they're a trio from Sussex, Rye, in Sussex, based in Rye, led by a chap called Roger Hubbard, great guitarist. In fact, he invented his own guitar, I think, a resophonic guitar called the Hub.
Really?
Yeah, and again, blues band primarily. Somebody I saw quite a long time ago, I thought, wow, these guys are fantastic, brilliant. Again, around about that time when I got into blues, Jazz FM had just come onto the radio. Had the blues programme with Paul Jones was on Jazz FM then, as well as on radio too. Yeah. I thought, whoa, it just opened my eyes up. Wow, what a massive, what can you say? Scope to cover the music was incredible. Yeah. So I just thought, Buick 6,
here they are.
Went to see them,
Circles. Well, we're on Tommyfield Live. Martin and I are chatting during the music. It's very, very true how things kind of happen for a reason. I've just happened to mention that quite all the music so far, and I suspect the remaining 3 tracks that we're going to listen to between now and the request programme just after the 1 o'clock with Howard will be very much Friday Filter influence. For people who don't know what Friday Filter is, our programme on a Friday evening, there's a surprise, at 8 o'clock. Which Martin co-presents with Graydon. Good morning, Graydon. I'm sure you'd love to say hello to your partner in crime.
Yes. I hope everything's all right with your op. He's had his second cataract operation, hasn't he?
Yeah. You have to keep an eye on that.
Yeah. I owe a lot to Graydon. As regard production and everything. He does a great job.
Let's talk about that. We've obviously talked about work, and we've got to talk about the books. We'll come back to the books in a second. But how did you come to be involved with Oldham Community Radio, Martin?
How did I come to be involved?
You didn't wake up one morning and just thought, do you know what?
I came to something a long time ago. I came to the very first inaugural meeting at the Gallery Oldham.
So we're going right back to
Dave McGeely, even before the station started. Wow. I was there at that initial meeting. So I suppose that's how I came to be involved. I suppose it's a long time ago, isn't it?
But then you waited a bit.
I waited a bit. Yeah, I waited a bit.
A little while.
A little while. I did appear on something that you did call New Voices. I don't know how long ago that was.
We may have that in the
when you were at
archives somewhere.
when you were based in Westwood Park, weren't you, around that area? So I went on that, but that didn't last. That's okay. And I have done quite a few My Musics before now, because you do the programme My Music, which I thought was a great programme, still do. Every time, it's
you'd
great.
Encourage people to do that, I've no doubt.
Yeah, it's great. I never had the gumption to actually say, how about giving me my own programme to Dave McGeely at the time?
Very few people did say that to Dave at the time, bless him. No. Give the programme, you have to earn your spurs.
Exactly. So, yes, it's taken a while, but I've got here eventually. And
I think it was one of the open days, wasn't it? That we occasionally have, and you toddled along here, and then did you just happen to sort of meet Grade and talk?
Yes, we did. Yeah, we
team up.
Yeah, we just teamed up. We both said that when we came to that meeting that we both like to do a specialist music show. So when we were at that meeting, we both had a word with each other and said, how about doing something in conjunction? Never met each other. But we seem to get on quite well.
I was going to say that could be a tricky situation if you think, the first few weeks that's going well. Yeah. But I mean the filter's been going for
70 odd programmes there, isn't it? Yeah.
And no two are the same. And I mean, where do you get? You must have a huge collection of music between you. I know Grace.
Yes, I suppose we do. Yeah. I suppose I do now. I never thought I had, but when you look at what you have got, yes, it's quite large. And
it's not the run of the mill, and it's so, as you say, it's from the dawn of music per se to literally what's come along this week. But one thing that amuses me, Martin, and you do say it quite regularly between you both, is that, I remember you'll play a track. Yeah. I don't know, the Buick 6 that we just heard there. I remember seeing them at the Bolton Octagon in 19 Blinking Long. Yeah. How many bands have you seen? Because it seems to me that you've seen the whole world in this way.
I wouldn't say that. I would say, unfortunately, I'm not going to be featuring Out of the Blue, a blues band that I saw. Must be certainly over 40 times I've seen them, but they're not on my playlist today, mainly because the songs are too long and they just won't be able to fit into this format. So I saw them for about 40 times and not more. So I have seen a lot of live music. My philosophy was, it still is, growing up at that time when you heard the radio, you would hear the charts would have things like Jimi Hendrix followed by Val Doonican. Yeah. And nobody batted an eyelid. It was just popular music. Yeah. That's the format I think of when we're doing the filter. Yes. It's all the same.
Yes. Yeah.
And for people who say there isn't any good music out there now, or the best days were the 60s and 70s, I don't agree. There's still lots of great music out there. It's just it may not be in the mainstream now. It's just where do you find it? And hopefully some people will find that on the filter. I'm sure.
Say, you're the best advocate for it. Friday nights at 8 o'clock. This is, I think, some of these tunes, if not all, as you said, have been featured on the filter at some point in its short history. The James Hunter 6, the Monkey Ride, has that been included?
It has. Yeah? Yes, it has been on the filter.
The James Hunter 6. There must be 6 of them then.
Yes, there are 6 of them. James Hunter is from Colchester. He doesn't sound like he comes from Colchester.
What does a person that comes from Colchester sound like?
He sounds a bit like that.
Because you're good at accents.
Yeah,
and we'll
sounds
talk
a bit
about
like that. And he talks a bit like Joe Brown, I suppose. He's got that kind of talk about him, cheeky chappy type of voice. He does talk like that. But when he sings, it doesn't sound like that. He's very much influenced, I should think, by people like Georgie Fame, and incorporates the same kind of things into it. There'll be like calypso in there. Those kind of things. Again, Georgie Fame's a big favourite with me anyway. Yeah. So James Hunter was like an extension of that. He writes all his own stuff, and he should be better known. That's all I can say. He's probably better known in overseas than what he is in this country, which is a tragedy really for me. I just think he's fantastic.
Well, let's have a listen. Let the Monkey Ride. A quick break, and we'll be back with Martin after this. Hey, hold the crowd are in. Follow the grease paint. The roar of the crowd. Martin Byrom is our guest on the Radio Theatre stage today. Martin, Friday Filter we've talked about, work we've talked about. The one thing we haven't talked about is how you got into the world of books, because you just said your book collection is gargantuan. So
yes.
Tell us about...
how did I get into books? I can't remember a time when I wasn't reading. From being even before I went to infants and juniors. Yeah. I was already like top of the class in spelling and things like that. Both me and my brother were into reading and everything. But how I got into books, how I got into the bookshop, Towpath Bookshop, 27 High Street, Uppermill.
Get the plug in. Yes, it's there, isn't it? It's brilliant.
I met my wife to be at a book sale. There's a surprise. In Piccadilly Plaza, there used to be a basement underneath Piccadilly Plaza in the gardens.
Yep.
And they used to have events there, music events, movie-themed events, and book fairs. And there was a book sale on this one particular time, and I saw this young lady reading a book. She was actually on the door taking the money, and I thought to myself, oh, she's a nice-looking girl. How do I break the ice? Now, I was quite fortunate that she was actually reading a book that I actually knew something about.
A gift.
So it was a detective story by a chap called Robert Van Gulik, who used to write stories about a character called Judge Dee, which was set in ancient China. Robert Van Gulik was a Dutch diplomat, but he wrote these stories about in ancient China. So I think it's quite surprising that I actually knew something about it. And then things just spiraled from there. Then I found out that she actually had her own stall. She'd run with her mum at the plaza. And then things just carried on from there. That was 1984 we met. 1986 we got married. And then we got a bookshop 1992. We've been going, 32 years and counting now.
So the Towpath Bookshop's been going that long?
It has.
Wow. And it's mainly sort of second-hand
it is second-hand books. There are one or two new books in there, mostly local history, walking books.
You definitely found your niche, didn't you, with that then, Martin?
Oh, definitely. I've always loved books. Even more than music. I keep thinking I've got into this job by default because I'm more of a book person than I am a music person.
But I think it all comes into play. All things help and feed into one another. We're watching the clock. Our enemy is always this goddamn clock, as they say. The flat 5.
Oh yes.
This is your night. We got a little bit of this.
This harks back to my love of harmony pop back in the 60s. Not only the Beatles, Beach Boys, bands like The Fifth Dimension.
Yes.
And what they call Free Design. Yeah. The Association. All those American pop bands.
Up and away.
Great. Yes. And this song harks back to that time. Flat 5 are from New York. I think the main man is somebody called Joe Ligon. The main members all are in separate bands, but they get together and they're quite big on the cabaret scene as the Flat 5, doing things, harmony stuff, but also doing Joe Ligon's elder brother's quirky songs. And this is one of them. You listen to this, you think it's like The Fifth Dimension combined with Sergio Mendes when you hear this, and you'll just be blown away. Absolutely great.
Brilliant. So here it is. There we go. This is your night, the Flat 5. Martin Byrom has been a wonderful guest for this hour, standing in for Matt Dean. Again, Matt, get well soon if you're listening. We've not even talked about the singing, have we, Martin? I mean, the things you've done for Oldham Community Radio's jingle collection. You're a man of many voices, aren't you? Singing, is that a big part in a few seconds? What, do you sing in the bath?
I have done before, now, yeah. My mum used to always say to me, I used to discourage me from singing because I used to be singing along to something. She always used to say, "You're shouting, Martin, you're shouting." And I'm thinking, am I? And that put me off singing because I used to think, well, I mustn't be any good then. I don't know if I am or not, even now. But that puts you off.
A man of many voices.
So,
it's brilliant.
But yeah, I've always enjoyed trying to take people off who I have admiration for, I suppose.
I suspect that so many of our guests definitely have a part 2 in with them. We have run out of time. We've got to get in your last track, The Valley of the Dinosaurs, the Lancashire Hustlers.
Yeah, Lancashire Hustlers, yeah.
It's just safe to say it's just another favourite. Let's hear it. I'd like to thank you for being a guest on the programme today. I'd like to thank Phil. Have you enjoyed it?
I have. Yeah.
I only asked because Howard, who'll be on after the 1 o'clock news, said that you were going to guest on his Fusion Flavours programme, but your excuse was, I can't do it, I'm going to Tesco's. You bottled it, but you've not done today. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you, Martin Byrom. This is Valley of the Dinosaurs. I've been Ian Wolstenholme. Thank you to Phil Edmonds, our technical director, and stand by for your requests after the news. Thanks, Martin.
Right.